Here's the SwiftUI MVVM app for building an events list app that navigates smoothly between screens. The best part, you'll start to understand MVVM in SwiftUI so clearly that you can start adding your own features right away after this video. In this first part, we'll set up the MVVM structure, create our event model, and connect it to SwiftUI view so we can display real data instantly. Let's dive in. Open Xcode, create a brand new SwiftUI project, and we'll start to build the foundation of the entire app series. Welcome to iOS Insights, the channel for iOS app development using SwiftUI and Swift. Don't forget to subscribe for more Swift and SwiftUI tutorials. In this tutorial, we will implement the Events Row View. The purpose of the Events Row View is to display the event information in a vertical row format, such as we'll be displaying the times of the event, the start time, the end time, and if the event is today. If it's not, then we will display an actual date, and we also display if the event is free or payable. So this is the feature we'll be creating in today's tutorial. The first thing we need to do is to create a new SwiftUI view. So just create a new Swift file instead and name the file Event Row View. Import SwiftUI, and then we create our struct, which is our view, Event Row View, which will implement or inherit from view. Let event room event. The room event is the object that contains all of the information for the rooms, or all of the data for the rooms. Var body view, and then we create a VStack. The VStack will have an alignment of leading. Each element within the VStack will be spaced by 8 pixels. The next thing we need to do is to check to see if an event has a valid URL. So we have to use safe unwrapping image URL. So if the image URL is an empty, that means we have a valid URL. We next need to display the remote image. So to do that, we need to call our remote image view that we created in a previous tutorial, and then we pass in our image URL, and then for the placeholder we just pass in a system name, which is the photo, So that photo will act as a placeholder. We also set the frame height for the image, which will be 150 pixels. And we also click the image, add a corner radius to make the corners curvy and not sharp. The next thing we need to do is to display each of our event attributes, such as the venue. If the venue does not exist, then we just include like safe unwrapping. And then we just style it with our font.headline, add the foreground color, which is secondary. And then we need to display the location of the event. For example, that could be Manhattan. This is the location. So I'll just copy what we just done previously, and then I'll just paste it. Rename it to location. The foreground color will stay the same, which is secondary, but we don't need the headline. The next thing we need to add is the start time. So we just call the attribute of the event start time. Instead of having unknown, on line 31, that should be unknown location. Event start time, that should be NA if it's not available. And for the font, that should be caption. Should be caption. We also need to display the end time of the event. So that will be NA again, if the end time doesn't exist, which means not applicable. And the caption will be, the font will be caption. It should be end time. We also need to display the cost of the event. If there's any cost, it could be free. So that would be cost. That would be event cost. Capitalized. If the cost does not exist, just type in NA for the default. And then we need to include a question mark to unwrap post. The caption will be, the font will be font.caption, and then we need to add a vertical padding around the entire view. Padding.vertical 8. I'll just compile it. The next thing we need to do is to open our content view so that we can call the view model and display the UI elements on the view to enable the user to interact with the application. So the first thing we need to do is use @main actor, and this will ensure that all updates to the view model and the UI happens on the main thread. We now need to create an instance of our view model. Really, we should be passing this in as a dependency, but I've covered things like that in previous tutorials, so that should really be within a dependency injection initializer method. @state private bar selected tab string, which is upcoming, and the purpose of that line 14, is to track which tab is currently selected, such as upcoming, completed. @state private bar current event index int equals 0, and that includes the index of the currently visible event within the tab view. We also need to use @environment so that we can access and change the color schemes within light and dark mode. Just see if the preview will work. I don't know, because as I keep on saying, the MacBook is so slow. On lines 21, we need to change this to the Z stack. And then we need to type the following color. It should be color app background ignore safe area. And that will set the background color from the assets catalog and ignore the safe area. Bstack alignment.leading spacing 20. And then we create a HStack. And this will be the top row that includes the user and the icons. Image, system name, person.circle, font, title, foreground color, color, hex, so the hexadecimal color will be 80D1F5. We can delete the text between lines 33 and 36. That includes the image and hello world. We can delete that. We also need to add a spacer, add another system image name, which will be plus circle.fill, font.title, foreground color, which will be another hexadecimal value, for the color. And we can just copy the color that we created previously. And then we need to include our foreground color for our HStack. That will be white. Next thing we need to do is set a title for the actual application, which will be SRM, Event Helper. Let's just add a text element. SRM, Event Helper. Font dot system size 28. Weight will be it should be weight, so that will be dot bold. There's an error somewhere. We shouldn't have the closing bracket after 28. So that's dot bold. These two closing brackets. As you can see, we've nearly done this part. Foreground color dot primary The next thing we need to do is create the tag bar for filtering events by the status, which is seen here. So it filters the events by draft or publish, and depending on which card you're looking on, it will have different filters that you can filter the events on. So this is what we'll create now. HStack spacing 0 for each new model dot tabs indices ID indexing Is that correct? Indices, remodel tabs. Let me just type in the rest and see if it will be okay after that. Remodel tab. So we get the tab index of that remodel. Add in the tab index for the different types of filters that we're going to be using. Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with that. So the view model, is it to do with tabs? Go to the view model. Let's see, so it's the view model, the tabs. Event list view model. And that seems correct. Return array event status dot sorted. Event status. Private set. Well, event statuses. Set is correct. Maybe we can fix that issue later. So let's just try and fix it later then. So the next thing we need to do is to create our button. Our button has an action. Our button also needs a caption within the text elements. So it needs a string to be displayed that will resemble the filter options for the tabs. Font dot sub headline font weight dot semi bold dot foreground color selected tab is equal to tab. So if selected tab is equal to tab, then the foreground color will be black, else it gets the color using dark and light mode. Color.white.opacity 0.5 gray. Oh, that was the problem. It was a spelling mistake. There shouldn't be, really, there should be an S after tabs. It should be tabs and not tab. So let me rename it. That's okay now. Next thing we need to do is to add a frame, max width, infinity, padding, vertical 8, got background, which is similar, a little bit similar to what we just done. So that will be selected tab is equal to tab. Then the color will be white, else the color will be clear. Add a corner radius of 10. The next thing we need to do is to add the divider between the tabs. Just something else that we didn't do. On line 15, we have to call or assign tab to the selected tab within the click event. Selected tab is equal to tab. And then we need to add our divider between the tabs. If index is equal to 1, then we just create or add a divider and specify the frame of the divider. So the width will be 1 and the height will be 20. The background color will be white. Opacity will be 0.2. But because we're in light mode anyway, we won't really see it. See the effect. We'd have to be in dark mode. So that should be background. Okay, let me qualify it with color. See if that helps. Just take the preview updates. So what happened there? Build cancelled. Let me just build it normally. As you can see, the preview doesn't always work. I'll try it again. In the next tutorial, we will complete our content view, and then after that, we will start to implement unit and UI tests.